Welcome to the show, guys. You're with Alvin, Brad, and we have Eden.
Yeah.
Welcome to the show, mate.
Yeah, thank you.
Eden from NV Events. How long have you been doing DJing stuff, Eden?
Individually, I think I started around 1995.
95.
So,
Before I was born.
yeah. Which is a good, you're right, actually.
Yeah.
It's a good and a bad thing. So sometimes when it comes to it, like clients are like, oh my gosh, he's been around that long. But then for other clients, they're like, oh yes, he's been around that long, so he knows what's going on. So 95 is when I kind of first come across the idea of DJing. I had a family friend who had a big DJ company back in New Zealand. So I used to just go in his garage. So saying 95 is kind of it's an odd one because I wasn't paid for like 3 years. So I'd go along to gigs or I'd go to, actually I started off just going in the garage at my friend's house and then just playing around with the gear, trying to figure it out because I thought it was really cool. And then, I really wanted to DJ for a while, but I didn't have the technical skills. So I'd just go back and forwards. Every weekend we'd go to his house for barbecues and stuff like that, family gatherings. And I'd always be in his garage while everyone was out socialising. So, but yeah, and then after a while I started to go, because I started off in nightclubs, really. I'd go along, I'd do like the start of the night when there was no one there type of thing, which is, and like I'd be going there just as a friend, so I wasn't getting paid or anything like that, but it was good research and how to
Experience.
get the experience, no pressure,
Yeah.
like that. And then when you get better and better, obviously you start to do a little bit later in the night, and before you know it, 20 years later you're doing an actual wedding. So yeah, it started about 20 years ago. It's pretty much started in New Zealand, moved to Melbourne. Reason being, like in New Zealand, the economy, if you're not professional, so tertiary education and further, it's a pretty tough place to live. So there's a massive exodus even to this day for Kiwis moving over to Australia.
Right.
We have whole suburbs in some cities. So there's a lot of Kiwis over here. So we just came over here for the economic reasons. But then Australia is such a great place, and especially Perth. I was very hesitant when I moved from Melbourne to here because it was a big step for me. Because on the East Coast, if you live over there and you want to go home to New Zealand for whatever reason, it's a $200-300 flight. Whereas here, it's like $1,000 minimum. Minimum on a good day to get back to New Zealand and back to on a return flight. So it was a big commitment to come here. But Perth is probably my favourite place by far.
Yeah.
I like it how it's a country town vibe, with it's so kind of laid back, chilled.
Yeah.
I won't say slow because it's not slow. When coming from Melbourne, it seemed like that.
I was
But
going
then
to ask you that. Yeah.
I don't miss the kind of metropolitan life that's there, and especially every time I go back, I'm so glad I live in Perth. It's just a really awesome place, and it's quite small in terms of like the wedding industry itself as well. It's probably 200 people run 90% of the industry, so that's not that many people when you kind of think about the size of the city and all that sort of stuff. So so that would be about 30 years of actual DJing. And then full-time being a DJ since I arrived in 2010. So I did a month working for a council, and everything you hear about councils is completely true. It blew my mind how much work you don't actually do.
Yeah.
So, that just tied me over when I think it was during the GFC, the financial crisis during 2008. I was working in Melbourne in the construction industry, and then there was a stimulus thing that the government had put out at that time. And then it dropped off. And as soon as it dropped off, which was around 2010, they were like, okay, we're recovered. So then the company I was working for lost all their contracts, which was cool because I didn't enjoy it really, to be honest. And then I went on Seek, put in DJ, wedding, and the job over here came up. So I was like, oh, cool, that's awesome. So I rang the guy up. He happened to be Kiwi as well. And said, are you serious? Are you for real? Because it was $100 an hour, which was a lot of money for me back then, especially.
Nice, yeah.
And then he said, yeah, of course I am. He goes, are you serious? So I'm like, yeah, I'm serious. And he's like, if you come, you can come and do a trial, do a couple of weddings with me, and then we'll see how you go after that. So I asked my wife if we should move over here, if it's a good idea, and we decided, yeah, let's go for it. So I drove across from Melbourne to Perth 3 days later, I think. after that phone call, and then that weekend I was doing gigs, and been doing it pretty much ever since.
Nice.
Haven't had a real job, which is thankful since that council job. So I've been pretty lucky as far as my journey in the industry. Yeah. It's good coming from Melbourne as well, because I find the East Coasters are quite entrepreneurial.
Yeah.
It is, yeah.
They're really like go-getters.
Yeah.
So when I came here, I was like, whoa, this is chill. So chill East Coast, in my mind, is like super radical over here.
Yeah.
It's like, well, slow down, dude, kind of thing.
Back in 95, 96, I was still in uni, and then everything kind of shut down after 5. Just like really quiet, like
Yeah.
dead quiet.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I came here, I remember my first Sunday, I was like, I was in Morley, and I was like, the malls were closed. And I thought it was like some sort of state holiday or something like that. Then I was like, oh, well, I'll go to the movie theatre, because I wanted to go and get something to eat. I was like, well, surely the movie theatres were closed. And I was ringing my wife, I was like, you wouldn't believe this. This place is completely closed.
Dead.
And she thought I was, she didn't believe me. I was like, no, it's for real. And I went everywhere. Then I found an IGA. My friend that I came and lived with, I asked her, I was like, what's the deal with this? Like, everywhere I drive, it's all closed. And she's like, oh yeah, we don't, which is cool, because I kind of like that old fashioned, spend time with your family. Type of
No
thing.
work on Sundays, yeah.
Especially retail workers and hospitality, and at least you get a guaranteed day off. So when they changed the law, it's kind of like, oh yeah, it's cool, you're moving with the times. My wife is very metro and like shopping and things like that. She was like, oh my God, about time. Whereas I was just like, I kind of like the country vibe. So WA was moving with the times. Because, I don't know, everyone that moves here, they always have that wait a while joke about WA.
Oh, yeah. Wait a while.
Yeah, wait a while. Like, yeah, it's true.
WA.
Yeah, the stereotype about WA. But I love it. I love Perth. I absolutely love it. Yeah, it's literally changed my life living here. So my whole family, the whole lot of us, my wife doesn't have to work anymore. She hasn't worked for the last 3 years, which was just from DJing, which is bonkers. When I talk about, that's why I say when I don't have a real job, as a joke to a lot of people. You can't believe it. It's definitely the Golden Isles for sure.
But having sort of family as well, and doing the DJ since
For a long time.
for a long time.
Yeah.
Doesn't that stop you spending weekends with your
I think
family itself?
the balance is the lifestyle that we get to live. Like I can go to, like I've taken pretty much all my kids' sports days. So if they have a carnival, I can go, because I used to be quite heavily into basketball coaching.
Wow.
Really, really loved basketball. That's probably my number one passion, is probably from teens onward, that I've been able to like go out on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday and coach the kids at a carnival. And, I spend most of my days watching YouTube and Instagram, to be honest. So, and the family knows that they don't expect me to be home on weekends. You could call it a sacrifice, but I'm kind of, the way, I guess it's with anything, when you get really good at it, it's not even, the job itself isn't that difficult.
Yeah.
The hardest part really is just dealing with people. It's always, I always tell people as a joke, I'm like, weddings would be awesome if humans weren't involved. That's really the only variable I find. It's just like, you guys know as well.
Yeah.
Sometimes the people is like, there's some strange things that they say and do that you're like, wow, I have never heard that before. But then I enjoy, to be honest, the thing that I like most about DJing is the ability to engineer these social situations. Like, you see something out on the dance floor and you're like, I'm going to change, I want to do something, and hopefully this happens. And then when you do it, so that's that social engineering part of that's the thing that I like the most about DJing.
Yeah.
In all honesty, I'm not really a music head as well. So the way I work is a little bit different as far as DJs go, because every DJ you come across, they're like, music is their life, music is their passion.
Yeah.
I don't know the lyrics to a single song. I don't even know maybe I do know the lyrics to the haka, but I'd be like maybe 80% of that. I just don't know. I like melody and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm a bit of an oddball when it comes to DJing. Not to say that I can't do it, but when I tell people that, they're like, what? I've been doing it for so long. But yeah, I just like the social engineering side of it, and that's even on the like vendor side as well. So when I go to when I go to a venue that I haven't been to before, and someone, a venue function manager comes out and we start chatting, I'm like, I'm always thinking about, okay, how am I going to make sure that I stay on the right side of this person? So that's the part that I like the most about what I do. Just, managing people and trying to, give them the best outcomes that we possibly can, both client side and other vendors as well. Making sure you guys, like, one of the reasons why I got this fancy audio mixer for my DJ gear is so that you guys videographers and photographers can have complete control over the outputs. So now when videographers come to me and plug in their gear, I'm like, well, what do you want? Do you want the music? Do you want I was going to say talent, but do you want the speakers, speech makers? Do you want my voice included and all that? So now I can isolate those different things.
Nice.
It's just little things like that I really, because when you do it and videographers look at you like, wow, you can do that? And then oftentimes I'll talk about, like you see test cams and I'm like, oh, you're running 32 float? And like the stuff like that, like, what?
You know that?
So I really enjoy that because, obviously if you say things like that, they're like, oh, sweet, this person knows what I need and why I need it and all that sort of stuff. So that's why I like the social engineering side of what we do. So, it's fun.
It makes our jobs easier too.
Yeah. And and this goes back to like this whole network thing that we're going to talk about is the ability to connect with the different people that you're working with. My thing is trying to work as a team for the client, for the overall outcome. Because a lot of times, at least over half, I'll put it that way, if you're not focused as a team, so, us as videographers and photographers and DJs and function managers, planners, if we're not working as a team, it really can make for an awkward night, an uncomfortable night, and ultimately, you don't enjoy the experience as a vendor. So that's kind of the way I approach, my overall approach is trying to work as a team. And then when you do that, then you guys are more likely to say, oh, I really liked working with Eden or Envy or all the guys there. Let's recommend them because we know the experience is pretty much the same across the board. And we've got internal chat groups that we have, and then everyone will come back with an experience about, this venue, this is kind of how they expect things to be done, the type of behaviour that you can expect from them, so, to be prepared for it. But at the end of the day, the outcome that we're looking for is for the best experience for the clients, the couples to have at the weddings. That's ultimately what it's all about. It's kind of weird because I'm a pretty off the beaten path type of guy. I'm a bit of an oddball when it comes to the way that I think. But at the end of the day, I think the overall philosophy, and something that we put into Envy as well, Envy Event Group, is that the clients are the number one priority. And then trying to shape ourselves in a way that kind of makes us unique and gives them the results that they want is one of our overall kind of goals. And that's what I bring to the management team as far as I'm like the strategy guy. We've got different roles within the business as well. Adam knows everyone. It's hilarious because before we connected, I did know a lot of people really, really well. But this guy, he's like, he knows everyone. It's like, oh yeah, this is blah, blah. I'm like, oh man, I can't even remember all these people. So, it's really, I think with that overall philosophy, we've done pretty well overall. It's been good. Yeah.
So did you know Adam before you built this Envy event?
And so the way that we connected was, I was actually considering going back to New Zealand. So we're just going to pack up, sell up and go home. We'd got our pile of, cash and whatever. And we were like, we've had enough. This is cool. Thanks Perth. And we're going to go home. And so I was selling like DJ booths.
All right.
And he came to my house one day from a marketplace, I think Gumtree, I can't remember.
Yeah, most likely Gumtree, yeah.
Yeah, back then. And then he was like, oh, we should start a business. And I've been doing it so long that I've heard that quite a few times before. Oh, we could do this, we could do that. And I was like,
yep. Okay.
I like to say, oh, okay, yeah, cool. Blah, blah, blah. And then, and I said, look, if you can get us into a venue at the Wedding Open Day, it was Fremantle's Wedding Open Day at that point. And you guys probably know, when you're starting out, getting into an expo isn't as easy as it sounds. You can't just walk up and say, hey, can we come to your venue? And you're like, who are you? So it was a pretty difficult challenge for him to do. And he got us in 24 hours really. That's all it took him. We got into Esplanade Hotel in Fremantle, into there as a vendor there. I did know Bell Johnson at the time. So I said, "Oh, you can name drop this name if you want to. That may help." And he came back in 24 hours. Yeah, we've got a spot. So I was thoroughly impressed with that, and I kind of didn't expect it as well.
What year was this?
That would have been 2011.
Okay.
Yeah, because I was happily doing my own thing. Reasonably successful at that. So yeah, he did that, and I was like, oh wow. And then from there it was just a snowball effect. He was like, oh, we should sign people up and have them, help them to promote their businesses, and that's how we kind of got that agency model. Then we brought in the musicians and all that sort of stuff. That was really where it all began, from that one meeting for a random guy trying to buy a DJ booth. And then when we went to the Esplanade Hotel, so our silent partner, Leighton, he used to run music. He had a duo that he used to do inside of the Ball and Chain every Friday. And because we did a showcase on that Friday, he didn't have to work, so he came and just watched and saw us, what we were doing. And then he was like, I want to come and join your guys' business, because he had the kind of the same idea at the same time.
It's Kiwi as well.
Yeah, and he's Kiwi. Yeah, it helps that you're a bro. And so he jumped on, and then he was pretty much in charge of managing the musician side of what we do, which wasn't really a thing, to be honest, in the wedding industry at that time. It's quite common now to see a musician starting the ceremonies, and sometimes even going as far as doing the actual receptions themselves fully.
Yeah.
That was not a thing when I was prior to Envy, especially. So yeah, and then it's been good because of the different talents we have as individuals. Like obviously, I'm like the marketing strategy type of guy. Adam's networking, especially like face-to-face networking, which is a part of business building that a lot of people don't like to do.
Yeah.
Like, if you connect with someone like you guys, we get on really well. We just happen to like each other. But sometimes when you're doing cold introductions and things like that, it's not really you feel awkward. So Adam's funny because he was a Mormon elder, right, in Utah. Las Vegas, sorry. So he's been in difficult situations plenty of times before. It does not bother him. And me and Leighton was like, when we first got together, we were like, this guy doesn't, he's just, and you need that, honestly. Yeah. Like, people ask us all the time, how the hell did you guys get so big so fast? And it's because it's a combination of the different skill sets that we had. Like, I say that I'm the guy on the internet that's doing all this, strategy stuff. Adam's the out front guy. He's kind of the face. I tell people, he's like, meet the people, hug the babies type of guy. he just loves interacting with people. And then we've got Leighton, who manages everything from behind as well. Like, he's a behind the scenes guy. He makes sure that we don't go broke and things like that, because we need that. Me and Adam together, we can make a lot of money, but we can't not manage it to save our life. So, in my opinion, Leighton's probably the most valuable guy for our business as it's grown. It's just been like, he's so good at what he does, and but he's a ninja. He just stays behind the scenes and does what he does really well for us. So yeah, that's kind of how it started. And then the philosophy we've taken moving forward was to bring on people into the business that, so DJs, musicians, and some other bits and pieces that we do as well. We found that Perth has some really, really high quality and talented people across all the different verticals. Like, so for the DJs, there's quite a few in our team that are amazing at what they do, but they couldn't market themselves to save themselves. Yeah. And they don't want to do that, which is fine. Like, and that's what we do. We kind of facilitate the bookings for them. And the way that we work is kind of it's a Māori-based system where we kind of treat each other like family, legitimate family. So we have pretty open conversations about, like, people oftentimes don't like to talk about money. We just talk about it in a pretty casual fashion, of course. And people are included in how we figure out payments and how we're going to structure the pricings and all that sort of stuff. So we don't. If you join our team, we're not like, oh, this is what you're going to get paid. We tell them, what do you want to get paid? And they'll give us a number, and then we'll go, okay, cool. We'll put you in this kind of tier of our pricing systems and stuff like that. and then they get what they want. So that's what we've found, being able to kind of market the people that work with us at a level where they're happy. Because ultimately, it is a job, but you want to be comfortable and happy knowing that you're going out getting what you want. And I think that's why we've had so many loyal people working with us, staying with us in our collective. It's just the fact that we kind of see them as peers, not as like subcontractors. So a lot of times, you know, if you go in, it's like, oh, you're just a piece of meat that we're just going to try and get out to the marketplace. And I think our overall philosophy, we're pretty open to two-way conversations as well, which is interesting for a lot of because we have some DJs that work across different companies. We call them guns for hire, where they'll just work for anyone.
Yeah.
But oftentimes they'll just stay with us as much as they can because it seems to be the process of working, getting paid on time and all that sort of stuff is kind of seamless for them. So there's not that much resistance throughout the whole process. So we've been very fortunate with that. In terms of networking, that's something that we've been really fortunate with. We've come across people who have no brand name, and then by the time 12, 24 months, 18 months, they're kind of top of the game as far as that. So taking chances on people and building those networks has been, we've been really fortunate that the way we look at it in terms of networking is we can offer our time to anyone, and we do. We have random meetings so often with people who are, they come to us and say, oh, we see you everywhere. What have you been doing? We'll schedule meetings, go to meet them in the cafe and stuff like that. And I couldn't tell you how many times we've done that. And we just look at it as a time investment. And then, if it pans out and these companies grow to be as big as they are, then they're quite good at remembering, that we helped them along the way, or we supported them, not necessarily offered them work or anything like that, but we definitely showed them, a thing or two about how the industry works in Perth.
Going back to your musicians and stuff, do you pay them full time or for job kind of thing?
Yeah, it's usually like a gig-based economy. So yeah, if they get gigs, I think the way we do our marketing for individuals and groups and duos and all that sort of stuff is they tell us the type of jobs they want.
Like weddings or events, corporate and stuff?
Yeah, corporate, whether they want to do, Sunday sessions at a bar or a pub or a restaurant or things like that. So they give us their criteria, and then we make it our job to, whenever the opportunities pop up, to put their names forward. Also, what they do is really important. So when Leighton came on board, he's like a cool kind of, he's a combination of a lot of things when it comes to his style of music and how he plays and his vibe in particular. He had an experience with another agency, not necessarily in the wedding industry, but he'd be sent to jobs that did not match his persona at all. And that was one thing that was really important to him when he came to the business. He was like, I don't want to just send a body to a job so that we can get our commission type of thing. So making sure that the jobs match up with the requirements of the subcontractors or our team members, it's really, really important. And I think we even do that. Like I could be working 7 days a week if I wanted to, but I might not necessarily be suited 100%, or there may be someone in our team that's better suited to it. So that's always been our philosophy, and we did this from the start. When Adam and I got together as Perth, I was like, look, if we get a team of people and there's someone that's better than you, but you don't have a job, you shouldn't really be taking the job, because in a long term it's not going to work out. So that's why even sometimes when I look at the booking, I'm like, damn, this chick, she's got more jobs than me. But then at the same time I look at it and I'm like, and then I'm saying, and oftentimes it's because I specifically requested them. And that's the whole purpose of why the business is doing okay. It's just because we put the client's priorities ahead of our own. Like I could probably triple my income, which is ridiculous, if I just took every single job that I possibly could. But oftentimes we're like, if you want someone who's an amazing MC, for example, like some of the guys that stand out at the moment are Curtis, Josh, one of a couple of our team members. They're really good at interaction and stuff like that. Whereas we've got other people who are like less interactive, and then people would come with their mad spreadsheets. You guys have probably seen this where they've done it to the minute. We've got team members that love that and who are really good at sticking to timelines and not varying from the spreadsheets that we always find that like the guys are the worst who, if they are into that sort of spreadsheet type of mentality, oftentimes they're engineers, accountants, very number focused, isolated in their jobs type of people because they spend a lot of time at the details. So we always have a laugh when we see that come through. Oh, I've got a playlist. Like every year we have probably 3 or 4 people that plan their wedding to the minute in terms of song. Like, oh, we want you to fade out at 1 minute 37, bring in song number 2 at 33 seconds. Like we have that 4 times a year. There's one guy in particular, Adrian, who's really, really good at that. And to be fair, the last time I did it, it was an awesome wedding. I was like, oh my God, okay, I'm going to do this wedding. It was at Crown. And then and the night went off because I was like, when you're doing that, are you better off just getting a Spotify playlist? That was what I was thinking. But I'm like, they really had their mindset on, the couple had their mindset on having a DJ. And I was like, oh, I felt bad. But then at the end of the night, it was really awesome. And I was surprised. I was like, oh, this is going to be a train wreck. But, it is what it is. It's your money. So you get to decide how we operate. And but, yeah, having a team that can deal with those type of situations, it's really, really good. So, yeah, offers us variety.
So you guys have full-timers as well?
We have people that pretty much make a full-time income with us. They're still subcontractors.
Right.
And there's some interesting things going on with the superannuation. Like there's a bit of a minefield at the moment.
Yes.
And we're kind of planning for that, the implications of what that could mean. But yeah, if it's instituted, there are laws that are on the book. If they're applied to the letter, it's not a good situation for a lot of people, not just our industry, across the board. So yeah, we don't have any full time. We're not even full time employees ourselves. The way that we've structured our business, we're essentially subcontractors to the company as well, with bonuses. But yeah, no, that's the answer to that question. Yeah, we don't have we have people who just rely on us, who do great work, and they get a ton of work. So yeah, I think there's quite a few people doing 5 figures. Hang on, what? 6 figures. There's a couple, 2 or 3 that are doing 6 figures under us. It's just as subcontracted, and
they're allowed to working as their own business.
Yeah. We kind of try. That's
pretty good.
It can be a tricky one when it comes to like brands. Branding, because in all honesty, we've had a few people join our team, fairly unknown in the industry, that are really well known now.
Yeah.
So they're getting, obviously they'll get bookings on their own. We don't discourage people from promoting their own brands. There is kind of a fine line of how that works, and it's often grey, because sometimes we're like, well, we have a family kind of orientated way of operating, but then at the same time you're like, wow, it is a business. So where is that line? And we don't mind having the conversations with people about what we think is fair. And the way that we reference that, the kind of rules, the grey rules, the unsaid rules, is for DJs, I just operate and tell them to operate the way that I've done it in the past. So when I first got here, I was working for an agency. And I was very careful not to self-promote during an event that was for the agency. So if they come up, they get a card. You can tell when people are trying to say, "Hey, Brad, can I just hire you?" and not under your brand,
Company,
individually. And you can, people know. And we kind of explain this. We have orientations and info nights with our team where we'll just talk about things like that. Where is the line set, and we just kind of verbalize it. Really, what do you think is fair? Do you think it's fair that we send you out a job and then you take all the referrals from it? Because at the end of the day, what that'll mean is, the brand, Envy, the brand, is supporting your brand, but is it you're taking from it as well?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a tricky one. I always say that the smart people will figure it out and go out on their own, which we've had as well. We've had some amazing people. Like the example I would use for that was like Levi from DJ Co.
DJ, yeah.
Yeah, he's awesome. So he started before he started off. According to Adam, he had only done a couple of weddings prior to joining the team.
Yeah.
And he was one of our best guys. He's awesome. But like I said, he's another guy that's done it the right way. Like he built up his experience through us, which is exactly what I did. And then he's kind of figured out, I could probably do a little bit better on my own.
Yeah.
But then whenever he's out on a job for us, he's out on a job for us. You don't know who he is outside of that.
Yeah.
And then as he's built his own brand, he's decided to go. Like, we've offered him like support in terms of like information, knowledge, stuff like that. You know, if you're going to do this, try that. But then he's also learned a whole bunch on his own. He's gone out on his own and figured out the in between stuff. So, and then if he doesn't have a job and his little team can't take care of it, he'll throw it back to us as well. So it's like that give and take kind of thing, you know. And all props to people that can kind of figure that out too. We've had a couple. Lady Angie, DJ. She does a lot of stuff on her own now. But she was kind of like a gun for hire as well. So I think she's in Europe at the moment. But
You have Kelly as well.
yeah, Kelly's awesome. Yeah, Kelly's awesome. She's so funny. So yeah, she's similar situation. She stayed with us for a long time. She come from another company. Come across actually that company. We got about 3 or 4 of their DJs just come across. They heard through the grapevine.
Yeah.
I think one of them came over, and then they told the rest, and they told the rest of how things were over with us, and they just slowly migrated their team. Yeah, but we were like, the company that they came from were like, you know, we like the people that run that company as well. We're like, you know, we don't want to be involved in any drama, so it's got to be transparent with what you're doing.
Yeah.
Because we're everyone's friends type of thing. And if we get asked questions that are difficult, we don't mind answering them. But we also want to be honest as well. So.
Yeah, I think this is the part, like the etiquette part of networking stuff. Yeah, myself and Brad, we work together. Like at one stage, I was helping him, and he's helping me as well.
Yep.
And like when I'm on a job with him, because I've been in the industry for a long time, and I've got previous clients usually came up to me saying, "Hey, Alvin, how are you doing? What are you doing here? Da da da. You're not the main photographer." No, I'm not. I'm just helping my friend Brad from BKD Media. You know, so stuff like that. You know,
That was last week.
Yeah, it happens.
Yeah, it's like I don't actually promote myself, but the client actually knows me, right? So I don't actually taking the opportunity to advertise myself. No, I'm just helping my friend, and so on and so on. That's I respect him.
Yeah.
You know, and that's how I do business. I think that's really important as for us networking stuff.
Yeah, it's like a trust thing as well. You know, like
yeah.
if you bring someone on board, there is a potential that they can just pirate everything that you've done. You know, kind of copy your templates and in terms of like how your workflow is and all that sort of stuff. The thing that I think I found unique with us and people like yourselves is that like you can't replace the personalities though. Like if you enjoy working with each other, you can replicate what you do. But if you don't really like each other as well, there's that kind of X factor. There's something factor about working with people you like. It just makes the whole experience different. You know, you might work with someone who's technically amazing at what they do, but if they're a bit of a clown, it's like, yeah, I love their work, but so yeah, I think the loyalty goes a long way in this industry. It's kind of fickle, but then it's also kind of straightforward about when it comes to networking and etiquette and all that, doing all that sort of stuff. I think if you approach networking from the perspective of a multifaceted, like if you have multiple perspectives on how you approach situations. So if I come to your business, I say, hey guys, Envy wants to work with just your brand. But then you got to look at the perspective of, we know a lot of videographers and photographers, especially, where it's, if we do that, there's 30 other guys and girls that are going to be like, dude, I thought we were bros. Kind of thing, you know, like, so you gotta worry about those sorts of things as well, like creating alliances between, to the point where you're kind of isolating yourself from the other people. So from a business perspective, there's like, you know, say if we were to go to exclusive with a brand, then there's 20 other brands that are gonna be like, oh, these guys, I thought we were friends, so we're not gonna refer it. So from a business perspective, and that's what I mean by strategy, we generally don't align ourselves with a specific brand. We'll jump into networks. So like there's Confetti and Co, for example, amazing vendors. They'll get us in for a specific style, and that suits the criteria or their client's criteria. But they know we're not exclusive as well. So, but they know our team, so we do cover a lot of their events, because for specific events they know that they can get someone that fills their brief, and they could have varying briefs. So for them, it's a single point of contact to cover multiple situations. But then, you've got to be transparent at the start, saying we have had people approach us and say, "Can you work with us exclusively?" And like, we're a 7-figure business now, and we're like, if we do, can you support that? So it's obviously you can't. A single company couldn't supply that amount of work, so it doesn't make sense. Sometimes people are like, "Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, I get it. I understand it." Other times they're like, "Oh, screw this. We're going to go somewhere else." So, it's just part of the business game, I guess. It can be tricky and difficult to manage those types of things, but at the end, I think you got to reflect and to take your gut feeling with a lot of it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it is. I kind of like those situations, to be honest, because we have little round meetings, and this is where I kind of rise in our business, is looking at the strategic behind what we're doing. It's like, if we do this, these are the implications, the cost and benefit kind of analysis and all that sort of stuff, that we go through that through our weekly meetings and stuff like that, and we talk about it, make a decision. Once you've made it, and it is what it is either way. So, it's networking is a tricky thing. I think we talked about it before. Like, there's different groups within the industry, in terms of, like, you might have, as an example, so Confetti and Co, they have a list of people that they really love and enjoy working with, who they find professional and who can take care of what they need to be taken care of. Sometimes getting into groups like that is really difficult. We're in multiple groups like that, and I think for us, the way that we've put things together, it's been because of the multiple talents that we have across our team. So they see, like, a Kelly, they'll see her and she's like, she's full of personality, she's a real vibe, so they want her, or they want like Jacob, because Jacob's a real, his light show, I don't know if you guys have seen that, he's got an amazing light show, he's got a vibe as well, so they might like him. We a lot of corporate events want to have him and stuff like that, and the couples who want a particular style of music as well, because he's a massive hip hop head and Afrobeats and all that sort of stuff, so he takes care of a certain client. And then we've got other team members who are like 80s, children of the 80s. Kelly's like that. She can do a whole bunch of different things as well. She's a little bit of a chameleon. So yeah, being able to accommodate the requirements of these different groups, I think, is how we've been lucky enough to be able to include in them. It's the same as when wedding expos, like the Swan Valley Open Day and things like that. Because we do multiple events at these venues, they get to see us and they get to see how we conduct ourselves individually. And when oftentimes we go there, "Oh, you're with Envy," that's what they say. "Oh, you're with Envy," and then they just walk off because they know that they don't have to worry about things being kind of random things happening that they wouldn't expect. And that comes back to the team itself. We've got the private chat groups where everyone says, "Oh, this happens here, so be careful about that. Sound restrictions, or this function manager's a bit off. Just be aware that how you approach them and things like that." So, it's a kind of, I don't know how to say it, like a self-feeding. It just, the information that we get from it's like a data set, I guess. All the team members will let you know about what's going on, and because we've got this huge team of subcontractors, we've also got a massive pool of information that we kind of circulate between. There'll be like, sometimes a DJ will go out and they'll have they're doing a country set, and you draw a blank, because I've done it several times where I'm just like, I can't think of anything. I'll put in the chat group top party songs, country music. Within 2 minutes, I'll have like 30 songs. Then I'll start playing them, mixing them together, and the clients will be like, "Oh my God, I didn't know you knew this stuff." I'm like, "Hey man, don't worry about it, I got you." When it's just that information that was sourced from, it's been crowdsourced information. So we've been,
That's so good.
that and we're lucky that with that big team, and there's some amazing things within that we're able to do because we've got a decent sized team as well. And then the clients, so like like Confetti or Infinity Wedding Events or even Gem, when they see us on an individual level, they're like, why are these guys and girls always, pretty reliable and really good at what they do? It's because we're crowdsourcing a lot of the information on top of what the individuals have as talent as well. And that helps us to build these networks that we get. Because it's self-perpetuating where there's like envies everywhere. It's weird. Between myself, Leighton, and Adam, we kind of don't realise. We never really think about how big the brand is. But everywhere you go, and it's still, I heard it on the weekend, with Lale, I was at Matilda Bay Restaurant. She goes, like, you guys are big and you're everywhere. And I'm like, it's still weird to hear that. It shouldn't be, but it really is. It's just odd because we have an office, but we essentially work from our spare rooms in our houses. Everything's done virtually online. And, we manage our different parts at home. Adam's hilarious. He's got like 5 kids. And so whenever I ring him up, it's like, whoa, it's hectic because there's always kids in the background and stuff. But he manages everything from a mobile phone. He's just, it's cool that he's got OCD because he can't let a phone ring out. He's got to answer it no matter what.
Straight up.
So it's like, and that's been another part of our success as well because he's got that personality type. When emails come in and it shows up on his phone, he's like, and he'll just answer emails like you oftentimes you get an answer within like 5 minutes. So there's reasons why the company's been able to do so well. But those networks are super important.
When clients send you inquiry, right? Do they pick certain DJ or musician to their weddings and stuff?
Yep. Yeah, different inquiries come across. So on the actual DJs and musician pages, they've got profiles. Everyone's got a profile of their own. It's on our books. So they can inquire per person. So the inquiry will come in, wedding inquiry for Curtis, DJ Curtis. So it comes specifically for them. Check availability, make sure it's all good. Then we also check with Curtis will say, hey man, do you want to go here? Because sometimes there's requirements that our subbies have, like a talk. We won't just send them there. Like if there's a venue that they don't like for whatever reason, for me, a lot of times I'm like access. If the access is trash, I won't go to a venue. I won't do outdoor venues during summer now. Very few. I'll do Brook League because I like the people there. That's probably my only outdoor venue during summer that I'll actually take the job. So whatever the requirements are for our team members, we make sure that matches, get the availability. And then the way our pricing structure works as well is we've got essentially three tiers. We've got the first tier is like people who aren't doing it full time. Like they're passionate about DJing and they really, really enjoy it, but they only want 2 gigs a month. Or some of them might want a few more, but their online presence, their individual brand isn't so well known. So they can start off in that category. And then if they build up themselves, so for example, Kelly and Jacob, individual brand-wise, they're pretty well known. So then they move into a different price tier as well. So when the inquiries come in, we let them know, okay, this is the price point that things start at. And then, obviously you can add on bits and pieces to kind of take care of everything in one shop. And then the last one is myself and Adam. But if I go out, I'm going to make sure I enjoy it. And oftentimes it's just a fact. If you're getting paid well, you do enjoy yourself a lot more with them. We do that for everyone. And we tell them, be comfortable with the price that you give us because that's what you're going to get paid. And we've had people who have overpriced themselves and never got any jobs. And we've had people who have underpriced themselves and we've paid them more after the fact. Like with Adam's notorious in our business, we're like, Adam, why are you paying that much? They didn't even ask for it. He goes, they're worth it. And then after a while, you see, like, it makes sense. So, it works both ways with us as well. So, example of that would be Curtis, who and Andy, another DJ of ours, they weren't expecting to be pushed up to another level and things like that. But we just threw them into the second tier just because their brand recognition got so, well known that they deserved that. And then people were requesting them specifically as well. And it goes the same across with the musicians as well. They set their prices, we don't. We can have packages and stuff like that have a price point, and when we get the inquiry, we'll just, because the team members have given us their price point, we might say to them, okay, you know, we've got packages starting from here, but for this particular person, it's going to be X amount. And it's their decision to make the clients. They're like, yeah, we really love them. Musicians, we find that a lot. And that was one of the main reasons Leighton joined in as well, because he wanted to change the industry from musicians who are really undervalued in terms of pricing, especially. You've probably seen this in the past, where they're like, they want a 5-piece band and they want to pay $450 for a 5-hour set. Like, that's no joke.
Yeah.
Like, they literally want to do that. And we were like, hell no. And I think from the perspective where we started out, before I joined Envy, I was earning a reasonable amount of income per job. So I kind of knew where the limits were for what we did. And the same with the musicians. Leighton, he has a really good understanding of pricing and how to figure out where you can get the jobs you want without being priced out of the game. So that's something that we find has been beneficial for the industry, because when you look at musicians over the last 5 years, they've gone from in my opinion, an unknown quantity. Like before Envy started, especially, there were probably 2 guys. There were a couple of guys that did DJ musicians. Now it's like super common, and it's because we're presented to the market in a way that kind of makes sense. And now there's complete whole companies built off that kind of DJ musician package now. So it's been important for us from the musician's perspective that they get the value they deserve. I personally think musicians are worth way more than DJs, because it's like creatively, physically, it's a tougher job. I mean, not to say that we, you know, the stereotypes, DJs just push buttons. It's not quite as simple as that.
That's what we get to.
yeah. It's like, what do they do? Because I always joke to photographers, like, what do you do? Just like click, point and click. They're like, what? I say, I'm joking. But it's showing their value. That's been something that we've been really proud of. Because now, if you look at weddings, probably like 80% of them have a musician for ceremonies and or they're doing pre-dinner drinks or dinner time music and stuff like that. So we've been and that was a goal of ours, to change the industry standard. It's kind of that whole all boats rise with the tide type of thing. And the first time we did that kind of thought experiment was when we did the DJ booth, right? It used to be a table, a box, couple of speakers on a tripod. Now when you guys see that, you're like, when you walk in and see that, you guys are probably like, oh, it's one of those DJs. Whereas, you know, obviously the way we present ourselves at Envy especially, you can't do that. We're like, your couple's spending at a minimum $15,000 on the dinner kind of tables set up like that, and you walk in with a trestle table, sometimes without a cover, throw your box on it. It just does not look the part. And, and they wonder why they're not included in videos. Right? I'm pretty sure you guys would have no problems like scanning past us. You're not going to focus on us, but you'll be like, yeah, that's all right to include that. But if you're coming in with a box and, you know, turning up with a Bintang shirt, things like that, it's just like, nah. Yeah. There was a time when that was a thing. It's definitely not nowadays, unless you're brand new to the game and you don't know what you're doing. But so, and that's changed across the industry, right? Now when you see most of the well-known brands, they all present themselves in a, you know, pretty professional way. The DJ presentation game has just gone off its nuts. Like it's crazy how good some of the booths, like, so. And I talked to Adam about this when we started. I say, if we rise the standard, people are going to come up to it as well eventually, and then you're going to have to push it up again. I call it negative pressure. Negative in terms of like, oh, you're scared they're going to catch up to you, which I like. Negative pressure is good. You can have positive pressure where you're aspiring to be like someone. And then I say negative pressure is when you're just scared that they're going to be the same as you, so you push yourself again. So with the DJ booth thing, for example, across like Anytime, Complete, ourselves, branding it off the wall, POS, you know, the way that they present themselves is the industry standard. Like, you can't rock up with now, you just get laughed out of the, like, quietly. Sometimes you realise, you know what type of wedding you're walking in when you see the DJ set up. You're just like, oh, it's one of these weddings.
Yeah.
So Yeah, there's some interesting setups now with some pretty well known brands where you're like, oh wow, okay, cool, like stuff like that. We love it, but then and it all comes back to that same thing. At the end of the day, it's like product presentation for your clients, for the couple. You know, when they're just like they're proud to have you there because they're like, oh, you know, we've got this person here. They're well known on they're Instagram famous kind of thing, you know, in Perth. So it's all part of that whole kind of trying to elevate the industry. Now to the point where I've got like a 75-inch video DJ booth.
Yeah,
Because I'm like, oh well, we've got to move up again. so I did that. I've actually had it sitting in my garage for like 2 years, and I only brought it out like 6 months ago. And Adam's like, when are you going to take that thing out? I'm like, oh, I'm too lazy. I built it. I had it because I'm kind of like a little bit spectrum like that. So I built this booth, and then every time I take it out, I put on logos. I go down to the ceremony and stand at the end of the aisle and take a photo, just run away. And then when they walk into the reception after the wedding, there's a photo of the couple doing their vows or something like that, or confetti getting thrown up as they're coming back out, and it just blows people's minds. Those are like the little 1%ers, but it's also about pushing the limits of the industry so that we start elevating ourselves again. So we've been pretty lucky in our segment, the entertainment segment, where we've had a rise in quality. I feel, especially post 2018, which is when we started. The level of presentations been awesome. You guys have probably seen it as well, and in the photo and especially in the video. Video's gone on from chronological to storytelling now.
Yeah.
If you were chronological, it was like I even there was a company that we spoke about earlier. They used to be chronological. They went to storytelling as well, and I noticed it straight away. I was like, wow, okay. If the big brands are doing that, then it's probably a trend that's going to be. And now I don't know it's bonkers, the type of stuff that's coming out of videographers and photographers now. It's amazing.
There's a lot of DJs at the moment, right? Do you ever have fear of not having jobs in the future?
If you put in the footwork, literally the footwork, you should be fine. So when we started out, like I said, Adam's kind of a face-to-face guy. The story we always talk about is our Lamont story with Matthew and Jack. We went to Lamont 7 times, and we were kind of unknown as a brand. Then we did a few jobs there, and Matthew was, he kind of noticed what we were doing. And then after a while, he was like, I'll give you a chance. Like, I trust you now. And because Matthew's he manages Lamont quite carefully. He's very particular about what he does. So for us, that was like a really awesome kind of nod. And we went there, not to dog Matthew, but he just didn't want to talk to us. And rightly so. We were an unknown, but we just keep persisting. And that was part of the reason why he liked us as well, because we didn't get the knock and then, never turn up. Because I remember the first time we did it, I'm like, I'm never coming back here. And Adam's like, no, don't worry about it. Because that's that door knocking moment sort of thing, mentality. Which is, I love that. I love that he's like, has that mentality, because there's often times he'll do things and we're like, I could never do that. But it's worked out in the end. And that's those different personality types as well that's been a benefit for us. It was I'm a play it cool, don't want to look stupid type of guy, whereas Adams he'd just go like, you know what, if we can't get around this, we're going to have to go straight through it. So we did that, and now whenever the Perth wedding open day is on, we're automatics for Lamont. We take care of their corporate events, PA systems, musicians and stuff like that. Some of our best events have been there as well. So I think, yeah, that's probably been the positive part of building those networks, and we've done that across multiple venues, multiple kind of mini networks. So
That's
for
good,
example, Confetti and Co, Infinity Wedding and Events, Gem Wedding Planners, Kira, Little Things. Yeah. There's been a whole bunch of people that have given us an opportunity, a chance to kind of prove ourselves. And that's the other side of it. The other side is that you've got to be able to actually do what you promise, deliver on it as well. And I think when when some streams aren't working for you, say like Google Ads or your networks or your Instagram posts and things aren't working for you, you've got to have alternatives. We've been lucky. Our team, Adam, myself, Adam, and Leighton have different skills along those. Like Leighton's got a network for live music that they just love him and they trust him. So we get a lot of live work just from that. And I've built a network of people from, I call them the old schoolers, the OGs, who've seen me for so long and they trust me because I've been around for a minute or two. And then Adam's built this amazing network of people. Like, I didn't know you guys before. Adam introduced me. I was like, oh, those guys. How did you get here? He goes, oh, I just, you know what he's like.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, I see you guys everywhere. We should connect. Let's go and have a coffee. And you're like, what? And next thing you know, you're creating packages together. So it's funny. So we've been really lucky. So in terms of like worrying about forward bookings, it is at the moment. It's a kind of interesting situation in the marketplace.
I think it's for everyone.
Yeah, because everyone's a little bit worried about the financial situation. That it's just, I think the word would be unsure.
Yes, that's the word.
Yeah, people don't know what's happening. 2008 was a bit of a wake up, but there was one in 2014 as well when the mining prices, the iron ore prices, and that was the last time I saw anything crazy happen in WA when the iron ore price went down. A lot of people pulled back. That was the only time I ever saw it dip the whole time I've been here. So I think, not to get political, but whatever situation happens in the US in the coming few months,
It's going to affect us here.
It's going to affect us here. There's going to be a flow on. So I think if you've built yourself different silos, different networks of people and who are completely if your Google ads, your Google your rankings online are good. You've got to. You could be safe if your networks disappear. If we don't even rank on Google, we're like page.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, we're like page 8 or 6, if that. It's bonkers, and I'm kind of thinking about whether I should actually do something. I used to do SEO.
Yeah.
But it changes so fast. That's why I didn't enjoy it, because it's like one algorithm change and you go from first page to unheard of, unknown. Yeah. So.
I think the best kind of advertising is through networking.
Yeah.
I've been having a lot of bookings. Like they would say to me, "Oh, I know you from that lady, that celebrant lady, from that DJ, from that photographers, videographers." I think that's the most reliable kind of advertising for me.
I think when those types of referrals, internal referrals, vendor referrals are super important.
It is.
So. Surprisingly, I'm not really an out there person when I'm at the jobs. I don't talk that much, to be honest. If you talk to me, you won't shut me up. But generally speaking, I just quietly go about my business. I'm always watching everything. That's the other thing too. So obviously, as I've watched your guys' brands closely over the last few years, I'm like, okay, that makes sense. The way, if you're going to do vendor kind of networking, I look at the booking cycle. So I think Brady talked about it. The first thing he did was venue, right? So venues, it's usually venue, celebrant, photographer. Those are the three things that, because when I was heavily into marketing strategy and stuff like that, I'd go on to a wedding group and I'd say, what are the first three things that you've booked? I did this about 7 or 8 years ago. And for the booking cycle, I found that those were the first three: venue, celebrant. And so what that means is, as a vendor yourself, you've got to network with those people. It's no good going with whoever's the 12th person to be booked, like a photo booth operator. You can build networks that way. We actually have, but it makes more sense to build a network. And you guys are in a prime position because you're working with celebrants, right? If you take a little bit of time, I always say this to videographers and photographers that are starting out. I'm like, go to a venue shoot, do it for free, or include a cutout from the job that you're doing on the day and focusing on the venue. Because you can get like I did one with Matilda Bay this weekend, Matilda Bay Restaurant. I put their brand at the front of the video and at the end of it, or near the end of it, and they reposted. So when they repost, you know, like, oh, what are these people doing? Why are they getting? So then you get an inquiry that way. So I kind of tell people that that's how you can do it, because those three particular people are you beat everyone else to the, like, say if videography was a luxury, for example. Sometimes that's what I've heard. It's like, oh, you know, it's kind of gets booked late in the cycle, kind of like a photo booth, I guess. But if you're ahead of the curve in terms of like, you've got a celebrant that you've sent a whole bunch of videos and photos to, they super appreciate it. Oftentimes they'll say, oh, who have you got for your vendors? Like, and these are the people that are at the start of the booking cycle. And they'll say, oh, well, I recommend, you know, Brad. He's amazing at what he does. You know, Alvin's. So then you've got that jump starter ahead of everyone else. And that's why, you know, being involved with like Wedding Folks, because, you know, Wedding Folks is heavily, there's a lot of celebrants within that group.
Yeah.
And when you get a brand recognition amongst them, they're more likely to, you know, and all this is based on the assumption that your work is good as well. And if it's amazing, it's even better. So, you know, the hardest one of those three is usually the venue.
Yeah.
That's why I say, you know, if you want to hack, make a venue video for them, throw it to them with no expectation. That's the other thing. Having no expectations is huge, because, you know, like it does take a lot of time to do what you guys do.
Yeah.
But then you've got to think of, well, you've got time, or you can pay. You know, you can pay to have Google ads or Instagram or whatever the case is, or TikTok. Or you can exchange time for, you know, money. Instead of doing that, you do a celebrant video. Before you go to the ceremony. You're going to be there anyway. That's the way I would look at it personally. So, you know, you do like a meet Glenn Adams, the celebrant, is, or, you know, Eddie. You get all these different people, and then you become part of the network of referrals, because, you know, you've scratched theirs, and generally speaking, they'd love to reciprocate. So, yeah, there's ways to tactfully and elegantly, with etiquette, build networks. And that's probably like a simple one for me, which I think the surprising thing is I haven't seen many people actually do it, and the ones that have really boosted off heaps. And you know what happens, because they burst off, they're like, oh, we appreciate it so much, they refer us all their work. Yeah, but we do that with no expectations as well, because you can tell when someone's like needy and kind of, oh, I really need to get a job out of this somehow, because we've had that as well. With you know, we've had I can off the top of my head 2 or 3 people who have like, I really need to make something. Yeah, I really need to make something happen out of this. It's got to come through. And I don't know what it is. It's whether it's an email or it's just talking to people, can pick up on that. You guys have seen emails come in where you're like, yeah, nah, and it's the same thing when you have no expectations. And just trusting that, you know, the good thing about you guys is like you got amazing products as well. So if you've got that in your back pocket, like you don't need to worry about, like, even in comparison to the industry standards, you look around and you look, I think I'm just as good as that. Probably sometimes you think to yourself, I'm even better. And if you believe that, then doing things like that, those little hacks, it shouldn't be much of an issue. Like we do a lot of free stuff as well. You know, like Wedding Fakes, we don't charge for those sorts of events, but it gives us exposure as well. Lets the brand get out there and things like that. So, you know, going to wedding expos, we subsidise our subcontractors. Like we say to them, there's 2 ways we look at it. We're like, you know, if you go to these wedding expos and represent us, you're personally going to get more bookings because you're the person point of contact. But we also understand that, you know, it'd be nice if they got a little something for that. So we throw them a bit of coin every now and then just to make sure that, you know, it's not a day spent in vain, because it helps them feel comfortable knowing that, you know, they're not just sacrificing a day where they're maybe not going to church, or they're not doing a social outing or something like that. So we just throw them a bit of coin, and it seems to work out well. So, yeah.
Completely accurate with networking. That's why I don't mind sharing other people's work. I do follow a lot of other vendors too. And even if I don't look at their posts, I just like it and then just scroll and then just like it and then scroll. And sometimes I share like Alvin's stuff as well. On my story.
Yeah.
Like for me, it's not really a competition. It's more of, you know,
Yeah.
Supporting
good
each other.
vibes. Yeah.
Yeah, it's that whole collaboration over competition type of mentality as well. I think when you've got comfort and knowledge, knowing that you're presenting a product to the marketplace that is of a high quality and high standard, it's also like you just let the work speak for itself.
Yeah.
And it is a tricky one to kind of navigate as well, especially when you're starting out in the industry. You're like, I want to, I want to kind of go from a full-time job over to doing this professionally.
Yeah.
It can be a kind of a scary moment, which is, it's harder to do that. But then and oftentimes people will make their transition without even knowing it, that they've gone from a full-time job to like part-time, and then now they're doing it professionally as well. It's just having faith in your abilities, and just whatever happens. Obviously, you've got to have a backup plan as well, because just as many people who succeed, there's probably twice as much that don't for whatever reason. But I always think that if at the end of the day, the thing that matters the most is the quality of the product that you're sending out. If you're comfortable with that, everything else is kind of just a byproduct. I guess mindset is a huge part.
Yeah.
And the other thing, I think the thing that Envy has that has been really fortunate for us and kind of unknown to a lot of people is that I'm not one person trying to do all the different things inside of the business. Like I couldn't balance a $2 like bank account. I am horrendous when it comes to that side, and so I don't have to bother with that. Whereas a lot of times, because I say that the wedding industry is built up of mom and pop type of vendors. They're just single ops, husband and wife teams, trios. Like 2 or 3 people max. A lot of the businesses, probably like 80% of the businesses in our industry is like 3 people max. Envy's only 3 people. If you can kind of spread the workload and just don't do things that you're not good at, because that often we've seen that. Say if you can't control the finances, make sure you find someone that can do it. Outsource it if even if that's possible. That was one of the big leaks we made in our financial side. So when we started outsourcing our bookkeeping, and that's the other thing too. When you're building these businesses, trying to build them where you don't have to be a part of it. Because if it becomes labour intensive in terms of like the hours that are required of you personally, then you've just traded a 9 to 5 for it's not even 9 to 5. It's 24 hours when you start doing it and trying to run everything. It's So that would probably be a tip for anyone who's trying to get into the industry as well. It's just to network with people who can help you, who've done it before as well. I've got no problem walking up to people and like, so how's business? I don't know. You guys probably see me. Usually my first question is, how's your next 9 months worth of bookings going? It's always a question I ask people. I'm not afraid to ask this question. If it's trash, which, some people have said that, and if it's, we're doing okay, or it's interesting, we're not quite sure what's happening with, you've got to be able to, and then from there you can kind of extrapolate whatever you want from that, and then I take that information back to Leighton, and we talk about forward planning and stuff like that, strategies. What's 2025 going to look like? I go to Adam, how many bookings have we got, forward bookings and things like that. So I'll get information and I'll just pass it off to the guys that know what to do with it. And that's the most fortunate thing about our particular business is that we do what we like.
Okay. All right. Thank you for listening, everyone. I'm Alvin, Brad, and Eden. Signing out.
Thank you.
See you next time.